And the final one we are going to discuss is Spider-Man 3 No Way Home. So, before we dive into the discussion, I want to just give a few points here. As we said previously, these are all of our thoughts and etc. on these movies based on the trailers. There, to my knowledge, is no official trailer as of yet for Spider-Man 3 No Way Home. There have been a few things that have been released, which is that Jamie Foxx, who portrayed Electro in 2014's The Amazing Spider-Man 2 with Andrew Garfield, will reprise his role. And he will not be blue in the film. For those of you who are wondering, and was like, damn it, because they actually made my man blue. He will not be blue in this film, but he will be reprising his role. And also, just in case many of you have already heard, there are some rumors that this is going to be like a multiverse kind of thing. So, that the other Spider-Mans, Andrew Garfield's rendition, as well as Topher, I was going to say Topher Grace, um, as well as Toby Maguire's version will be in this film. So I guess they would be doing some kind of multiverse thing similar to the premise of the Miles Morales Into the Spider-Verse animation.
Great.
Shout out to that, by the way.
That was a dope movie.
That
That was
was
one
a
of my favorite
damn
movies.
dope
Loved it.
movie. Man, I
Super
watched
dope.
that thing so many times.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, man, what is the sequel gonna be like? Because I like
Yeah.
how they took all different Spider-Mans for different universe, and you had Gwen Stacy in that
Mm-hmm.
universe playing. I was like, man, y'all did,
And she killed it too.
ain't she? I'm
Yeah, she
like,
did a thing in
damn,
that movie. Yep.
that was a
Mm-hmm.
good movie.
I love that movie. That's one of my favorite animations. I would say there are two animated movies that are just like, I think were just excellent from the beginning to the end. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the Miles Morales story, and Mortal Kombat: The Revenge of Scorpion, or Scorpion's Revenge, whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Scorpion
that was
Both
Revenge,
of those
that
movies
shit.
were lit
Oh
as fuck.
man, when I saw, I think I saw when it first came out, and
Hmm.
I got super excited. When I watched it, I was like, my damn. I was like, man, can y'all make another one, please? Because I'm like, man, because it was so dope. They need to.
Absolutely agree with you there. So, now what's interesting about that is because, as we were mentioning earlier, because Electro is going to be in this Spider-Man, it does make you feel like the possibility that they are going to do the multiverse Spider-Verse thing makes perfect sense, right? That's why you have a character or a villain from Andrew Garfield, and the exact same person is portraying him, right? They didn't choose another person or etc. in this film, so it's a stark possibility that they could be going that direction. But have you two been able to find an official trailer?
no.
Nah,
Yeah, I
not
don't
not
think
for
there
this
is
new
one
I don't
yet.
think there
Spider-Man.
is one. Not
All
yet.
I saw
Mm-mm.
was this new Spider-Man is coming out 2021 in
Hmm.
December,
Yeah.
early December, I believe. I
Yeah,
believe.
so I let me see, because I think that I saw September 2021, but I could be wrong. Forgive me, because I've I've researched and looked at a lot of different movie stuff, so I'll look into that. But I do know that what's interesting is that they're being so tight-lipped about it, right? When you consider the fact that it's coming out this year, right now, as far as the world goes, the movies are slowly opening back up. Spider-Man being one of Marvel's most, how can I put this? One of the characters that does very well traditionally in the movies, right? Like, even if you didn't like the movies, they still all did like really well.
Only because
You would
Spider. Oh, I
think,
apologize. I
hmm?
apologize, but
No, you're
the,
fine.
no, but the reason why I'm saying this because Spider-Man is a very like common character, and I
Hmm.
mean like he's a pretty safe character because the simple fact is like you can make a PG-13 or rated R movie with Spider-Man because he's a teenager. It's comical. So you can draw in crowds and other people when it comes to like Spider-Man versus as like the Punisher. Who's an injustice justice type
Mm-hmm.
of character.
Yeah, he's like an anti-hero or whatever you want to call it.
But
Yeah.
but
Yeah, so yeah, you're absolutely correct. Spider-Man from that standpoint is definitely a safer character. And just an FYI, E-Man, you are also correct on the release date. It is December 17th, 2021
thank you.
for that movie. For the new Spider-Man movie. But no, I also agree with you that he is from the standpoint of the fact that the character has had many movies out already, right? The two different versions, the Tobey Maguire versions with 3 movies, the Andrew Garfield version with 2 movies, now Tom Holland with 2 movies and being in a bunch of Avenger movies. Like the Spider-Man has, just like Batman, has had enough movies and enough showings that you can kind of just bank on the fact that people love them no matter what. So, that is definitely a consideration. But I feel like because of what I was mentioning earlier, the fact that this is the very last movie, a part of Tom Holland's contract, it's a possibility. Not saying that this is going to be the case for sure. Again, there's not even a trailer for this movie yet, but we can look at the possibility that maybe something dark will happen to Spider-Man, like Tom Holland's version. Maybe he dies off or whatever because they're not sure what the history is of Tom Holland, or maybe they have him going to another universe or something like that. But I think you definitely raised an interesting point. But I would
Thank you.
say I'm excited nonetheless. And what are your guys' thoughts on, just the different directions that they could go with this?
Um, since we've gotten a lot of different Spider-Man movies, they're gonna be in. It's gonna be pretty different because it seems like they're adding all 3 Spider-Mans that they created in this movie. That's what it seemed. If I'm not mistaken, Nine Angel, correct? That
Oh,
they
that's
create.
what I was saying earlier. Right now, there hasn't been any confirmation for sure from the studio. There's been speculation that that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's been
And I
speculation.
specifically tied that back to the fact that they're going to have Electro, played by Jamie Foxx, from Andrew Garfield's version of the Spider-Man. I thought that because they're doing that, that it is a possibility that it will be some kind of multiverse thing, but there's
Okay.
no official confirmation from the studios about that.
Okay. Thank you for that
Hmm.
clarification. But
No
I
problem.
I think it's definitely gonna be pretty. They do that, then you got something right there. I definitely think you definitely got something because you know Toby. He was the early 2000. Then you got Garfield mid 2010 per se. Then you got this new kid on the block. He on the tail end and whatnot, and it's helping create something new and edgy and different. Because everyone, to be honest, it seemed like a lot of people missed Toby because everyone felt Toby did a good job, and then he decided he didn't want to play that character anymore. And when Garfield came up in the play towards playing the new spot, I thought he was like trash because all I remember him is from that stupid Facebook movie and whatnot. But he did an excellent job and whatnot, and in both of them. And I was like, yo. Then they had this new kid on the block, and it made Spider-Man not just less more of a teenager, but they made him like kid-like teenager. So they went really, really, like really into like the character of Spider-Man, and it became really cool. But then they edged it out and got him. They got Robert Downey Jr. like as Iron Man, and they're playing this role. where he wants to be part of the Avengers, which Spider-Man does become he's an Avenger, but he's not a full-time operative. He's more like a part-timer / like we need you at this moment right now type
Well,
of.
now he's officially an Avenger as of what, Infinity Wars, when Tony was like, "You're officially an Avenger, kid."
Yep.
So,
Yep. That's
so
when he's official.
until it became official. So and I think that's what they're going to play with, because it works with the whole new kid who's playing Spider-Man, because sorry about that. But McGuire, right? He's playing a Spider-Man that we all used to like from the comics and whatnot, and because of that, his Spider-Man was much more enjoyable because he really did a better job than Toby, like a really better job, because he really took on like the character of the not just being the teen or like somewhat college student Peter, but he had that really good comical role, but he was really a good superhero playing that role. And now we can probably get all three of them together, and it could be something really magical. That's what I think. That's what I think.
Yeah,
But
no, I think it would be great
I
if
think it would be
they are
magical.
able to do a multiverse kind of thing. I think really they only have one direction to really go with it, which would be similar to what they did in the Enter the Spider-Verse thing, because that's
I
really the
agree.
only thing that would make sense, right? Is
That
some
makes sense.
portal opens up that brings Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man into Tom Holland's world, right? Because it's his movie that's coming out. It's the third one of his movie that's coming out. So the only thing I can think of, and then especially when you consider at the end of the second one, you see that J. Jonah Jameson is the one who outs Tom Holland, right? Because he has the video from Mysterio that's saying Spider-Man is Peter Parker and then shows his face, but notice it's the J. Jonah Jameson from Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Yep.
So that's now
Notice that.
two different characters from the two other different Spider-Mans that have shown up in Tom Holland.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is just my theory. This again is not confirmed, but you got J. Jonah Jameson, the version that was from Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and then you got Electro, Jamie Foxx from Andrew Garfield's. So I think it's and they're not being very vocal about the Spider-Man, even though it's being released in December. They haven't released a trailer, or to my knowledge, released when a trailer is coming out. It makes you feel like, maybe they're saving this, for the right moment or an exciting moment to see, those multiple Spider-Man. So.
Yeah, I think it will be a multiverse, because I read that the guy who played Dr. Octopus in the Tobey Maguire movie, Alfred Molina, he's gonna be in this Spider-Man movie coming out.
I agree. I actually saw
be in
that
the third
part
one
of the cast,
and that's at least that part's confirmed. So if he's in there, if Jamie Foxx is in there, and as you mentioned, Naya, J. Jonah Jameson from the Tobey Maguire movie, him being in this Spider-Man, he was in the second one. It's definitely going to be a multiverse. I feel confident in saying that there's something going on with the multiverse. And I mean, they spoke on it in the second one, in the second Spider-Man, where they touched on it. They touched on, a multiverse being out there. So I really think it's headed in that direction.
They sure did.
Yeah,
they sure did.
I think that's the direction.
He hinted at that in the last one when he was talking to Mysterio.
Yep. So I think that's the direction they're going in. I think they're definitely gonna have these 3 Spider-Mans in there. Who knows? Possibly there could be Miles Morales popping up. We Who knows where this could go. So
wow.
I'm actually excited thinking about it, because if Miles
That would
Morales
be
were to
lit.
come in,
Wow.
yeah, that would be lit.
That
And then
mind
maybe that'll be a good way to have Tom Holland exit and maybe get somebody else to come in and be Spider-Man, and it could start being about Miles Morales, and they could continue the Spider-Man movies that way.
Wow.
I think that could be a good direction for them to go.
That will be a fucking damn good movie. I probably actually would go see it in theaters, maybe 2 times if they do some shit like that. Maybe 2 times.
That would be exciting.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He brought Miles in too. I would be super hyped for that.
I can see that now that I think about it, because I'm like, if they're doing all this with the multiverse, and keep in mind, if you guys have followed the comics or anything like that, so Miles Morales, he actually started off in the ultimate version of Marvel's Ultimate Universe, because they had a Marvel Ultimate Universe which was separate from the regular Marvel universe, which is considered the 616 universe. See, my dorkiness is really coming out now, but so Miles Morales.
Too late.
Too late. Too late.
We all been geeks this whole
right. We really geeking right now, but so Miles Morales was in the Ultimate Universe. He wasn't in the original Marvel universe, but then eventually they brought Miles Morales into the regular Marvel universe. So yeah, I could actually see Miles Morales possibly popping up. Of course, nothing's confirmed. Nobody quote me on that. Whoever's listening, I'm not saying Miles Morales is definitely going to be in this movie, but if he does, for some reason, end up, if he pops up, I would be like, man, I saw that coming. I could see that. I could see that being like a little curveball.
That's not a bad theory at all, sir. It's not a bad theory at all. I wonder who they would get to play him if they brought Miles Morales to live action.
That would be very interesting.
I've been seeing Jaden Smith's name thrown around.
Oh, that would be a good fit.
Yeah, with the fan casting, because people like to fan cast a lot.
Yeah,
so I've seen Jaden Smith's name pop up when it comes to Miles Morales.
That would be a good fit.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, you got me hype off that one, PAT.
Yeah, let's see if they make it happen. But I see that.
Miles Morales with Jaden Smith.
We'll see if they make it happen.
That Jaden's wonky and he's kind of like the cool kid, but also has like this very eccentric swag to him.
Yeah, he's like a cool nerd. So yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, I'm excited to see where that goes. Well, I think that this is definitely going to be, just because of, again, it being the last film in Holland's contract, is going to be impactful. I don't know how yet, but something major is going to happen. Not to mention, it's the 3rd movie. Notice with Marvel Cinematic Universe, the 3rd movie has a lot of impact on the character generally, right? Like, for instance, the 3rd Thor is where you see Asgard destroyed. And then that's when you see Thor in Avengers, right? The 3rd Iron Man kind of breakdown, by the way, they completely fucked up with the third Iron Man.
I agree.
Mandarin, because you had the opportunity to have Ben fucking Kingsley play the Mandarin, which would have been dope if you had some goofy ass actor, because the Mandarin, there's nothing goofy about the Mandarin. First of all,
the dude who played as the fake Mandarin.
Secondly, so Ben Kingsley, who is like one of the best actors of all time. He played Gandhi and a few other major roles. And he was also in Schindler's List. He's a really good actor. So, you had Sir Ben Kingsley playing the Mandarin, who is this political villain, but he is like the harshest version of a political villain that you actually kind of connect with, because he's similar to the Joker, where he's just trying to showcase really the ridiculousness of those who are in power, right? He's kind of like an anarchist, but sometimes some of his morals you agree with, right? At least me, I'm speaking on my behalf when it comes to the Mandarin. But I just had to throw out there the third Iron Man fucked that up. They fucked that up because they should have stuck with
The thing about the third Iron Man, so that fake Mandarin, so he was, I don't know why they made that shit so comical. It was a little weird, but
yeah, it was too. The Mandarin is not a character that they should have had any kind of comical situation with whatsoever.
So
and I understand they were setting it up for the one they wanted to be the villain. I forget what his name is.
He is actually what they consider as the Mandarin. The dude that was like heating up and everything.
Yeah, I forget what his name is. Like
that was the Mandarin.
Is actually Guy Pearce, and I love Guy Pearce, but I forget what the name of the villain is that he plays in that third.
No, he is actually the Mandarin, supposedly. You know?
No, he's
not the. He's not the.
No,
he wasn't, because that's what he stated. That's what they stated when I was watching it. Because I was like,
he said it in the movie, but I was like,
they stated it in the movie. I was like,
but he's not actually okay, because like you both know that the Mandarin in the comic books is like the political anarchist, and there's not in any situation where he's actually like the what they portrayed in the movie. He is a serious all the time.
Yeah, he's a serious villain.
And what they did in the Iron Man 3 movie was just trash. But I digress. I was just mentioning because the third movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in each one of these, have always typically had a lot of impact on the character. And so because this is the third, and I know he's not exactly in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it is in association with that, right? Because it's still not Disney that releases the movies. He's still under Sony. But it's still one of the things where I feel like is going to be very impactful. I just don't know how. Like, I can't pinpoint exactly what they're going to do, but you, PAT, you got my mind spinning about the possibility of because I agree with you that there is definitely a high possibility that there is going to be a multiverse. Absolutely agree with that. And I think you mentioned that earlier as well, too, when we were talking about one of the other movies. And I think there's definitely a possibility they could go there. But if Miles Morales shows up, I might lose my shit.
I might go and lose my shit. I'm gonna be like, damn, and be like, I'm gonna go watch it again in theaters.
Yeah,
and be like,
if it's a good movie, especially.